Hey everybody, it's Liz. I'm streaming now. Sorry it took me a little longer than usual. I have my guest, Ian Punnett, in the waiting room, and there's a time lag, between the Zoom room and the Facebook Live. Anyway, I just wanted to fill you in on what I've been doing this morning so that when we bring Ian in, and I'll be presenting him my finished dish, you'll know what I did while you were gone. So remember yesterday, I browned the meat, and then I roasted the meat, and then I made the sauce, but you didn't get to see like how it all came together. So I feel like I learned a few things yesterday. And so I actually, based on the test batch, made a few changes today. And so I cooked another little piece of meat and made another sauce. And that's what's happening here behind me. So, okay, so you can see this is the meat waiting to go. I'm waiting to slice it. I'm going to do that. Well, maybe I'll do that now. Actually, that's what I was going to do now. And then I'm going to bring Ian in, and he can tell me what he thinks. So hold on. I also made another batch of the sauce because, as you remember yesterday, I felt like the sauce was delicious, but maybe a little too salty for me, and maybe that was because I had used salted butter. Whatever. So, okay, so here's what's happening here. Okay, so that's, behold. Okay, I'm just gonna slice a little bit of this. I'm gonna slice a little bit of this, and then I'm gonna serve it up and sauce it and show it to Ian. So remember my goal, maybe I'll cut this side because you can see this side. My goal was medium rare. Oh, I think I nailed it. Hang on. Okay. Look at that. Now it says slice on the diagonal, so let me try to do that a little bit more. Okay, now in theory, that's the way it's supposed to look. So I started to set up a little plate. I failed the garnish test, totally failed. I thought, ooh, a little tarragon on the side would be nice, but didn't really have much tarragon left, so that's lame. But anyway, you can ignore that. So here's what I'm gonna do, is put a little meat on here. Okay. And then I'm gonna put a little sauce on here. One thing I know for sure, I nailed the sauce today. So, okay, so now I'm gonna allow Ian in. So, okay, my Chateaubriand coach, ding dong, my Chateaubriand coach is coming in now. Ian Punnett, welcome back to Cooking with Liz. You got all dressed up for me today, I see. Jacket.
Are we on?
We're on. Oh, yeah.
I didn't even see the camera go on. No, I'm really serious. I looked up by chance. I've been sitting here singing to myself. I missed the theme song. Do you have the? You
better pay attention, because if your camera is going on without you noticing,
it literally just went on, and that's why I was looked up because I saw. Okay, so do you have a theme? By the way, do you have?
I do not have a theme song. I can't really afford rights to anything. I suppose I could just hum along to something.
How about this?
What do you think would be the right theme song for Cooking with Liz?
It's Cooking with Liz. That's all the show is. It's Cooking with Liz today.
You are a genius. As I set up in your bonus episode, a man of many, many talents.
My bonus episode. I love that. So
I want to show you this, Ian.
Okay.
So here we go.
Look at
I will
that.
admit my garnish.
That is perfect.
My garnish game is not strong.
Well, that looks perfect, though. I mean, it really does. You got the right color on that. It's right. That's the medium rare you wanted.
That's the medium rare I wanted. I'm going to move my camera a little bit so it's easier for you and me.
Okay.
So, hang on. Okay, because now mine is super high.
Okay.
I'm not sure we need that. Oh, putting the FabFitFun box back on the floor. Okay, so here's what I ended up with.
Okay.
And I'm about to taste it, but first I want to review for you the things I think I learned between yesterday and today.
All right.
Yesterday I did a whole test batch. And then I tried to consolidate the learning and redo today. So here we go. So, and by the way, okay, I got to start by saying you are 100% right. This is the easiest, most delicious thing going.
I've been telling you for 4 months.
I know you have. Like, I even impressed myself.
It's delicious.
I'll never have anyone over, but okay.
You will. It's coming. Okay.
Okay. So,
all right.
No, you're right. You said this was super easy and super delicious.
Yep.
Remember, Lian said,
you've added more notes.
The only thing that's high stakes about this is that it costs a lot of money, so you don't want to screw it up.
Exactly.
But I think I did a very good job yesterday with the test batch.
Good.
And a super good job today.
It looks
a little bit of learning goes along there.
It's perfect.
You have lipstick on?
It was in solidarity with you. I was for the big reveal, and it's taken you about 5 minutes, but it's okay. So yes, I have been. I thought this is how I could show that I'm standing with you for this big moment.
I'm sorry. I'm so obsessed with showing off to you that I could cook the world's easiest dish.
That's what I'm doing too. So it works out fine. I'm showing. We're doing it for each other.
Even
in
though
our own way.
Your career has been radio, like people don't understand all the visual gags you have going on behind the scenes.
I do actually. I have a lot. I'm a prop comic on the radio, which never really worked. I would have been much more successful if I'd stuck with dry humor.
Okay. All right. So high stakes, but so far so good. Okay. And now you're wiping it off, right? You are also a man of God with a new book out as a religious scholar. So maybe the images of you floating around with the lipstick.
I'm Episcopalian, so it really doesn't I can go to church like that and everybody would be like, welcome.
It works?
Wouldn't even stand out.
Okay, so here's what some of my lessons yesterday. The
right.
browning went very well. You had told me that would be easy. You
right.
had told me between 2 and 3 minutes.
Right.
Settled on the 3 minutes. It actually worked better.
Good.
The salt. There was an issue with me and the salt. And I realized afterwards when I was tasting the sauce, that the sauce you warned me that it would be salty, that the demi-glace is very salty. But even though the recipe said use unsalted butter, I only had salted butter. So it came out a little too salty. So today I nipped into a local grocery store because that's what I do. I just nip in. I nip in. I don't grocery shop. I just nip in.
Right.
I nipped in and got, I got the better.
I mean, part of it is you walk in and the paparazzi are there, aren't you? And you're like, hey, look, I'm just trying to get some butter. I'm just trying to get butter.
You know what it is to be a radio personality. The paparazzi.
Well, Cooking with Liz. So, I mean, they're going to go, oh, that's Cooking with Liz. And they're going to what? I wonder what she's buying. What is she?
Okay, so I nipped in, got some unsalted butter. That's what I used today. I felt yesterday that, I don't know. Do you ever watch the Great British Baking Show?
Marjorie does. So often when at night, if we're watching two different things, she'll interrupt what I'm watching and go, you got to see this. You got to see this. So yes, I've seen many large segments of it. It's quite charming. So
Paul Hollywood, the meme judge, he'll always say to one of the bakers, like if they say, oh, I put rose water in this, or I put blah, blah, blah in this, he'll say, I'm not getting a hit from the rose water.
Wow.
That's the way I felt about the tarragon yesterday, Ian. I felt I wasn't getting any kind of a hit from the tarragon. So I put a little more tarragon in today,
amped up the tarragon.
Less salt in today.
Yes.
I feel very grown up. Go ahead.
Good. And they didn't compete. You dialed one down and you dialed the other one up, and that was good. Exactly right.
Well, we're about to find out because I'm about to taste it. So
I bet it's great. How about the red wine?
The red wine. Okay. I felt like I needed a little more red wine today and a little bit less of the demi-glace.
Oh, that's good.
So that's what I did. I'm not sure. What is the consistency of the finished sauce supposed to be? Because it felt very fudgy yesterday.
No, not fudgy. No, if you ended up with a salty, beefy fudge.
Fudgy was not the goal, right?
Yeah. No, shallot fudge? Anybody? Shallot fudge? No. So you want it to be thinner. You want you want it to hold, not run. So when you're pouring it over, you want it to hold just a little bit, not just completely run off, not like a broth.
Okay, maybe I'll do a demo of that for you. Yeah. So what I did is, so this is today. Oh, no, right. No, I'm doing a fake blind testing of the sauces. So I poured 1 bowl like today's sauce and 1 bowl of yesterday's sauce. I'm supposed to not be able to tell the difference because it's a blind tasting, but I can totally tell this is today and this was yesterday. But I'm gonna taste them both and tell you if I think today improved over yesterday.
So I think you can always, I mean, I always, when I'm making it, and you know, I don't drink. So to me, red wine is always, I'm very cognizant of it as a flavor.
Yeah.
And I find that it can tolerate a lot more red wine because it cooks out so fast. And so it gives it, and then you could also give it a hit of water too, if you want to, just a little bit. Okay. And keep it still smooth with maybe a little more unsalted butter and a little bit of water, and it'll thin out really easily.
Yeah. Water. Okay. Well, you don't want to give me too many variables here because, you know, first time through, I felt like I learned. Okay. What else did I learn? Let's see. I learned, okay, it says put it on a warm serving platter after it comes out of the oven.
After you rested it?
Yeah, don't really have anything that would qualify as a serving platter. So
come on, in that kitchen, really?
No. I serve only me, you know. I have like plates.
I don't remember when I ate at your place. I don't remember you putting it in my hand. I remember you were scooping it off of something, weren't we?
I put directly on people's plates.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, but I did tempt it. And which is fun too. I think the element of tenting is fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so I did
that. A little hat on it and then a tent, and it really feels like it.
So here it is. I tented it on my new good cutting board.
Perfect.
So that's how we got here.
Okay.
What else did I learn here? Okay, so well, here's the main thing. You know, it used to be at the beginning of the current unpleasantness, when a recipe would say season to taste, I was like, well, I don't even know what that means. That is not helpful. I would just tell me what it's supposed to taste like. But there's a lot of personal growth between the end of March and now.
Good.
Because yesterday when I tasted that sauce, I could totally say to myself, okay, that's a pretty good sauce, but that's not exactly seasoned to taste.
What did you add?
So that's why I put it, well, first of all, I figured out my error in the salted butter, right? So it's less salty today, an extra hit of tarragon, and a little bit extra red wine. Or maybe I shouldn't have cooked it down. I think maybe yesterday, the reason I ended up with the fudgy.
Because you cooked it down a little bit too much?
I might have cooked it down too much.
Well, how about pepper? Where are you with black pepper?
Oh, I love black pepper. Yes. Yeah.
And that's in there too then, right?
So that's in there too. Are you a black pepper man?
Oh, totally. And I even like a little red flake too, not in something as delicate as this, but with the black pepper, that plays so nicely off the red wine.
Yes.
That's the play I want is the black pepper and the red wine as much.
That's the play we're going for here. Yeah. Okay. So now I know this is awkward because you don't get to taste it and I do, and you're just going to have to believe what I say about my own food. But that's what I'm going to do now. That's what I'm going to do.
I love this.
I'm going to taste this. Hang on. I think I need. Thank you for hanging on.
Oh, please. This is exciting. I mean, I was worried about you yesterday, and I was like, I wonder that just looks so good.
So here's what it looks like, right?
It is so perfect. Now, show me as you move it through the sauce. Show me. Oh, that's good. It's probably still a little thick.
Okay, hang on. Now, it's tough to operate the camera and eat at the same time.
I get that, but it'll all come down to taste.
You know what?
Ain't the best?
You are a genius, my friend. This is like the easiest thing ever, and it tastes delicious. And if you just every once in a while want to go for like a fancy beef dish,
right?
Why would you not do this?
Well, and what did I tell you too about if you have extra of that, you won't have it for long because it's so good on sandwiches. It's just a wonderful. You could cut that, and even using the demi-glace, you could put a little horseradish in there for a sandwich.
Oh,
and it just that too gives it a different dimension to the flavor. But it's really just the cut of the beef is so good. It is butter, and it just you get all of that flavor on different levels. And that's the beauty of it. It's just a simple, the tarragon pops. I mean, everything kind of comes together. It looks terrific.
Oh yeah, I'm getting the hit of tarragon today. I needed a little more tarragon. That's good. I did negotiate a contactless drop-off with my neighbors across the courtyard today. I knew I would have extra beef, some of which I'll save for me for sandwiches.
Good.
But they've been very supportive of Cooking with Liz. And so I told them I would be dropping off a little Chateaubriand for them later on. They're very excited, very excited.
They should be. And this is the thing where you can now, from now on, you could say, I'm just going to toss off a little Chateaubriand tonight. And everybody, the uninitiated will be like, oh, wow, wonderful. But you'll,
I know, I'll know.
Like hot dogs, Chateaubriand. It's really not that hard.
So, I was also thinking that in many ways, it's very COVID friendly because a lot of people over the holidays will be having much smaller groups than they normally.
Right.
I hope they're having much smaller groups.
Right.
So this is the time, if you're ever going to spend the money on the more expensive beef, the fact that there are only 2 or 3 of you, now is the time to go. Right.
What's Lian's side dish going to be? Is she doing the side
scalloped potatoes.
Okay.
Scalloped potatoes, which was an Edna Dolan fave. What do you make as the side dish?
The traditional French potatoes. So the difference is, and this is just something to think about for the future. So the scallop is going to introduce another flavor. It's going to, and it's not the way it's usually done. If you think about the demi-glace over a light, it's almost like a whipped potato, the way that the traditional, the side dish is done. And so it kind of pulls the flavor into a slightly different direction, and it evens it out without anything that competes with the demi-glace or the Chateaubriand.
All right. Okay. So your traditional French potatoes, does that have a fancy French name like dauphinoise or something like that?
Yeah, it probably does. I just know a patois or something, but it has so you take the small, it's the small, with the original was really a big waste because they would take a bigger potato and then they would just shave it down until it was a much smaller potato. And I think just buy a smaller potato and just skin those. But I even do it usually I'll take off about 2/3 of the skin. I'll leave a little bit of the skin on it. And it's an easy mash recipe that blends really well. And it's sort of the way, and then maybe with a broccolini or something else, something kind of green and that's with, texture wise, would give it a little bit of crunch would be good.
Okay. Wow. So how did Chateaubriand become such a family favorite for you? Is it just because you love to cook and you knew this was?
No. Have I not told you the story of how Chateaubriand?
No, you told me there was a story.
There is a
story. And if I ever got you on the air, you would tell me the story.
I would tell you the story. So when I left full-time radio to go get my PhD, I was woefully unprepared of nobody told me what the program was like. I didn't have any idea. I didn't know anybody who had gotten a PhD. I had some relatives, like that's my great grandfather's PhD up behind me. But I mean, that was an honorary, or what we call unearned PhD, which is anyway.
That's a little judgy, but okay, a little rough.
Once you've gotten one, you kind of get it. It's like, okay, yeah, you get all the benefit of never having actually done the hard, the heavy lifting. So anyway, I went to the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications, which is in Phoenix as part of Arizona State University. And it's a great school and it's a wonderful journalism program. And all these famous people from the Washington Post go there and teach there. And it's really cool. I still didn't have any idea what it meant to get a PhD. And I didn't know what the commitment was or what I knew I wasn't working full time. So I got there. And I found there was just really very few classes. You have cohorts and you all take the same classes together. So whatever your group is going in, that's kind of the group you have going out, which is really important for you all to get along together because you kind of compete and cooperate. And it took me about 2 weeks to figure it out. And a professor that I become friendly with, who was also, he was not a PhD, but he was a professor of practice. And he said, so how do you like the PhD program? And I said, it's weird. I said, this is what it's like. They tell you almost nothing. There's no map. There was a booklet, but it might as well have been like translated from another language, you know, how to operate the vacuum cleaner from Japanese to English. It's very awkward. And I realized, I said, this is the analogy I gave him. It's like you go to a class on a Tuesday and they say, there's some very important professor hands you a stack of papers, which you're supposed to read and then sort through. And he says, meet you back here next week. Here's your homework, without telling you what the actual homework is. Wow. Yeah. And I said, it's a little bit like showing up and having somebody hand you a gun, say, the beasts are in the woods are over there. We would like a Chateaubriand by Tuesday. And
okay,
I said,
a lot of steps in between.
Yeah, I don't know what hello, sir, wait, hello, what's a shot? I mean, I don't even know. And that's what it was like. It was all of these things that I had to figure out on my own. And he thought that was very funny. And it really plays true, at least for this type of PhD. I'm sure it's different in the sciences or in the hard sciences. And so he kept saying that to other people, goes, Ian, tell them how you think it's like getting a PhD. And so I would use that analogy all the time. Hand me a gun. Those are the woods. The beasts are in the woods. Chateaubriand by Tuesday. And I didn't even know what beast was. I didn't even know what you were using to do it. So when I got my PhD, when I graduated and my dissertation, all that was done, I had that professor over for dinner. And without telling him, I presented a Chateaubriand. And he came in with his wife and we all sat around the table and I said, voila, a Chateaubriand. So it became symbolic. And that was the first time I'd ever cooked it. And I've cooked it 10 times since then. But that was the very first time. And it's the kind of thing, once you demystify it, like a Chateaubriand, you get it. But, you know, if somebody just tells you, you think, oh my God, this is going to be so complicated, I'll never be able to get it right.
But why would I want to demystify it if people think it's super hard?
Right. Don't tell that.
When I do it for them, they're super impressed.
Right.
Why would I want them to know otherwise? No. Nope.
Exactly. I know. And I'm with you 100%. And so that's also why, you know, it's handy when you have friends over to not let them in the kitchen and see how clean it is afterwards, because you can pretty much do that Chateaubriand and have it look as neat and clean as what you had, because it's all kind of in just like 2 pans pretty much. Okay. And you're done.
So now let me do the comparative sauce thing. Hang on.
Yes, please.
So let's see. Because, you know, what we have to do is collect my learning from one day to the next. So this is today.
Yeah. It's kind of coagulated. It's a little thick.
Coagulated. Thanks. That makes it sound delicious.
Yeah, it happens.
You know what? It definitely tastes better than yesterday because I addressed the salt issue.
Right.
I'm supposed to pretend I don't know which dish is which, that it's a blind tasting, but I totally do, because this is the fudgy one.
Oh, right.
And so this is yesterday.
Yeah.
And it was just too dark. And way salty.
Yeah.
That's on me. One lesson I've learned. Hang on. Recipes say things for a reason. I know you don't work from recipes, but when you're kind of a starter cook like me.
No.
If the recipe specifies unsalted butter.
But now don't you think,
for a reason, right?
Yeah, but don't you think right now, if somebody said, lady, there's been a car accident outside. The person will die unless you can make a quick Chateaubriand. You'd be like, fine, I got it. You wouldn't even need a recipe right now.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
It's so simple. Yeah.
And this is the beauty of that type of cooking. Now, the next thing you do, you can pull off of that bouillon. Like I took what was left of my demi-glace, and I made a marvelous French onion soup with it.
Oh, I can see why that would be good. Yeah.
So I put little beef broth, add the demi-glace until it gets to the right consistency, and then take your, you want to sweat out the onions a little bit in some butter in a separate pan, put it in there, and you've got a wonderful French onion soup going. So
Okay.
they all connect. It's all connected.
I know it's all connected. I'm not really much of a soup person, but I did, because it's going to be a long winter, I think. At one point I said out loud, maybe this is the season of soup, and maybe I should try it.
Oh, making a great soup. There's actually few things I think are as satisfying. I'm not a big stew person, so I haven't made a lot of stews. But I like making a good, I did a cream of mushroom soup from scratch, just starting with a little white sauce and then some mushrooms.
Okay, I have a sauce question, because my motto is peace and sauce. So you mentioned to me when we were on the other day that there are 4.
Oh, you weren't going to do that. Oh, I actually meant to go look them up, because I thought, oh crap.
Okay. Well, it's something I want to come back to. We don't have to do it right now. But you said there are 4 mother sauces, and I was thinking maybe after I finish my holiday season, I should address myself to what that is. The sort of fun. I mean, next week I'll have to make a bechamel.
Right. Then you got a hollandaise, and then a white sauce, and then I know I'm missing one of the obvious ones.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so I meant to, well, I can know it's like,
no, your job,
like
you were done. You were the Chateau.
Whenever anybody asks me, I suddenly can't remember which sports teams don't end in S. I can go all over again.
No, you are here as the Chateaubriand chef, and as a man of many talents. We see your book cover behind you there.
Yes.
And that's something we got a chance to talk about the other day. Yes. So if people want to go back and watch that and hear Ian is also a religious scholar, I know. It's amazing, right? So
I know religious scholars. That's my gift. I know them, and I can talk with them.
You bring religious scholarship to the people.
I do, and I like it. It is absolutely one of my favorite subjects.
Yes.
So but you're one of my favorite people, and so I was so grateful to be on the show. And Marjorie was watching our show from the other day, and so she was telling me she was enjoying it so much, but she always does, and I know she's going to love this too. And she was like, "When are you going to be back on again?" So she got a big kick out of it, and it's a fun show. And I think what you've done, what you've proved today, is you've disqualified yourself from worst chefs in America on Food Network. You would never be allowed, if they watch you make this, they know they would never allow you on that show, because that is a perfect Chateaubriand.
Yay! I feel so accomplished, because that's
Was that get on worst chefs in America? Was that
Elevate is one of my goals, is to kick it up a notch. Right. So I feel like I could make a steak, but this is like a whole new level, new level.
Right. No, you did amazing work, and I hope you feel like in the end that was worth all of that fretting. But now you could also see how you could do that on a grill. You could do that outdoors.
Oh, yes, I could. Yes. You'd have to grill it outside and then still have an oven to put it in though, right?
But you could tent it. You could put it in a foil, and then cover it with if you were using it on, just because it's just all about temperature and consistency of heat, and then making sure that that afterward you just keep the juices inside so that continue to cook.
Okay, I have 2 minor confessions I need to make, because this is what I do, like as part of the learning process. Okay. Yes. Et cum spiritu tuo, right? Here we go. Things that people may have seen or not seen. Yesterday, after I turned off the actual cooking segment, I had the beef in the roasting pan, and I was kind of moving around trying to do things. There were 2 minor burns in the process of that. My arm hit the roasting pan, and then I foolishly okay, this is a new pan, right? This I got for this.
Yeah.
I grabbed the handle on that. So
okay. Yeah, that'll hurt.
There's that leaves some work.
Were you doing the rest of the cooking like this, where you're seated? Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's all new to me. It's all of this. And then I did notice when I reviewed the videotape yesterday, when I was tasting the sauce, you probably haven't met This is my all-around spoon that I just called the Betty. I use the Betty for everything. I noticed when I was tasting the sauce, I did this, and then I put the Betty back in the sauce, and then I took another taste. So I know that is not COVID friendly. It's not even sanitary by any stretch, right? However,
not in my kitchen. I mean,
these are the bad habits when you live alone. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't have even blinked. So
people are home watching the videotape, Ian, and they often put in the comments like, this especially happened in March, April, May, when I was still touching my face a lot and handling raw meat.
With the spoon while you were doing it?
Yes, applying my lipstick with a spoon. That was not sanitary. Anyway, for those of you that saw me tasting, putting the spoon back in, tasting again, I know I would never do that if there was ever anyone here, but there never is. So,
well, I totally get that. I think that is I do the same thing myself. And then also within my own food group, if Marjorie's here, she will see me put the spoon back in. But, theoretically, we're doing, we're spreading germs at a much higher and much more dangerous rate than that. So
that's true. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm just going to check to see if there are any comments in the Facebook group that we need to respond to.
Okay. Like, how come he doesn't know the 4 sauces, which is killing me because I'm going to look.
Somebody asked what a velouté is or a veloute. Is that a sauce? I don't know, Sharon. I don't know what that is.
Well, I claim no expertise. So I just know what I learned, and I know what my mother taught me, and I know what has served me well.
It has served you very well. Yeah. And Arlene says, I'm not alone. She sometimes drops things on the floor and then picks it up and eat it. Sure. Yeah. Linda, let's see, I've inspired you to escalate your kitchen skills, but you're still an eyeballer. Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to not be an eyeballer, Linda. So, that's why that's what it means.
Right.
What I like about today's is that now I'm an eyeballer apron also has a sauce stain on it, which obviously I'm going to launder out, but sauce and it's all coming together now here. I've been trapped alone in my home long enough so it's all coagulating, as you would say.
Are there people who are sending you their first attempts at things? Will you get other people making, for example, Chateaubriand? Okay.
Yes, people have tried things. So I will pass those along to you. Right. If they need any more tips from the master. Right.
There's one tip I would give you: to always keep, if you're going to do a Chateaubriand, keep some beef broth in the fridge, because it is another good way to thin out the sauce. If you find it cooking too much, and you keep a good beefy flavor, but then it just gives it and it keeps it in the family a little bit, but and doesn't add salt. So get a salt-free beef broth and keep that handy in case something gets a little wonky with the demi-glace.
Okay. It's all about the learning. It's really been great. So thank you, Ian, so much. As I noted, you like my
sponsored by 3M. I like the confidence.
Some of this is about confidence. Obviously, this was not hard to make. You gave me the confidence to try it. I did. Yeah. And I'm here to tell all of the sisters and misters out there, you can do this.
Anybody can. Anybody can.
Anybody can. So
excellent. Well, I hope that any of these tips have been handy, but most importantly, seasoned to taste. Some people like a little extra shallot flavor in there because it's halfway between garlic and onion, right? Yeah. And some people want it to be a little bit peppery, and that's good, but you can also dial down the salt if somebody was watching that too, and then you won't notice it so much. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's always such a pleasure to be with you. I want to leave you with,
I'm giving you air showbiz kisses. So
peace and sauce to you and Marjorie and the boys, Itchy and Scratchy. Yes. I hope you'll have whatever the holiday situation is.
Yeah, we won't see them at Thanksgiving, but at Christmas it'll be the halfway house of full-grown men again, and we'll be happy when we all get to be together in one place. And then we'll have to go quarantine and go pay for it on the other end. But it's okay. It's worth it for the time we get.
Okay. Well, peace and sauce, and stay safe, my friend. Thank you.
Love you, dear.